So here's the thing. You won't know this, but this is the honest to goodness truth. We grew up in the ghetto, okay? So, I just have to say, we're just throwing it back old school, okay? Because where we were raised was in downtown Mesa/Tempe, Arizona, on Main Street. And I think we had a lot of friends, but there was we were the minority, I think. But I'm really grateful that we grew up that way because, number one, nothing scares me. Number two, this girl knows how to scrap. Okay, but even more than that, I'm really glad that we grew up the way we grew up. We had a pretty awesome childhood.
A great childhood. Best of both worlds.
Why was it the best of both worlds? What do you mean?
We had the farm, so we had this small town feel and like a little protection. We could just run free on the farm, but yet everything was right there that we needed in the city, and it's great. Best of both worlds.
So yeah, there's a little story behind that, which is our family owns and operates a flower shop. It's still in the business. They're still in the business. It's something that our family has. My grandmother started this flower shop in 1927. It was the first flower shop in Arizona, the state of Arizona. So that's kind of a special and unique, cool thing. And then in 1985, so there was 17 acres that the family owned. My mother and father, we had 6 kids in our family. We had an uncle who had 6 boys and his wife. They lived on the property. And we also had my grandmother, and we also had an aunt who had 2 children. So there was kind of a little community, if you will. And so everybody worked and helped out around the farm. And then in 1985, they were going to sell the property. And I guess everything fell out of escrow in 1985. And so there was a little bit of a panic there where they had cleaned out the greenhouses and started preparing to sell and to move. And my uncle was like, oh my gosh, like, what are we going to do? And my mom was like, we're going to turn these greenhouses into a barn and we're going to start a boarding facility. And he was like, you're crazy. I think I remember my mom saying, like, we're going to make something happen. We got to make something work. And so she literally, we chicken wired and jimmy rigged together basically this boarding facility out of literally bare bones of a greenhouse and a couple greenhouses. And my mom put an ad in the paper that said, we're not fancy, we're fun. And I think the original statement in the newspaper was $65 to board your horse. It was a do-it-yourself place. You could also have the option to have your horse in the pasture, and I think it was $110, if I remember right. Literally that option and opportunity that showed up in 1985 then just kaboomed and bloomed into this big, like, busy business, and I think really kept the flower shop afloat. So it was 2 different businesses going on in conjunction with each other through the family, and it was an amazing place for us to grow up and to spend time with other kids and other families. And not just that, but we had access to every kind of horse that you could ever possibly imagine. So we got to practice a lot of our techniques, and my mom was always giving lessons and staying up at the barn super late at night, and we just had a lot of really cool experiences at that barn. And when the barn closed down, there was over 100 boarders at that facility, and I mean, it was life-changing. I think for not just us, but for those individuals who used to board with us, we had such a great time, didn't we?
Absolutely. It was fantastic.
And you know, we had there was like a pond we'd swim our horses in. We had the canal bank where we used to swim, and then we had, you know, a couple different areas where we could ride. There was a couple different round pins, and so I think I was really fortunate growing up because my mom had us always going, always involved. Where there was like a community of people there, and so we were really fortunate, super fortunate. But again, we grew up literally in the ghetto, so it was this little tiny oasis right on Main Street. There was kind of a hidden wall of trees and bushes where you couldn't see that the barn and the access to the horses was there if you didn't know. You kind of had to have that, you know.
It's definitely hidden with
Yeah.
no neighbors. We didn't have any neighbors.
Yeah, we had no neighbors.
Protected. Just
It was its own little oasis, and truly, you know, if you had been driving by on Main Street, you'd never know it was there. And then in 2000, the city came in and had an eminent domain and took that property and turned it into 300 apartments, left the family with just 1 acre left and the flower shop. So the original flower shop is still standing, and it's still an operating and running business. They've branched out. The flower shop now has, I think, 3 different locations now. But the barn is no longer there. The boarding is no longer there. So that was kind of a bittersweet moment for all of us, you know, in 2000. And it's just interesting to think about all the places that you have come from. Like, you know, and people say, wow, you know, you were so lucky and so fortunate. It is true that we were really blessed and lucky to be able to, number one, be around so many horses, but have the opportunity to ride with other families and do other things. So yeah, so that's a little bit about us and kind of our background. And I don't know, do you have anything to add to that? What was your favorite thing about the barn?
we just had horses 24/7, and when we were really young, the distance from our house to the barn was, I don't know. I mean, as a kid, you had to walk. It took 10 minutes. I don't know.
No, not even that far. I mean, it probably felt like 10
It probably
minutes.
felt like 10 minutes, but it, you know, far enough that the barn and the house were separated. And so my mom kept a pony on a like long lead line right in our backyard.
Yep.
And so when we were really little, we could go out and just spend time with Bonnie. That was our pony.
I remember that.
And she was the kindest, sweetest little pony, and we could ride or we could pet her or we could do whatever we wanted, and that was always really nice from such a young age. That's what I remember, just having the pony right there, or we could go down to the barn, go ride anytime, which was amazing.
Well, and I think too, I think it became like a really fun place for the community to come and be around and hang out. People from church and people from school. Like when we had parties, birthday parties, it was like a party. Pony rides and shaving cream fights and water balloons, mud bogs. And so we just had this like really wonderful, cool little hidden oasis. And I think about the barn all the time. You know, growing up, it was such a great place. And I mean, we learned to drive. I was driving, I think by age 13, we had a little Ford Ranger pickup that was manual stick shift, and I had to learn to drive. And I remember just driving and like, you know, but the whole family was involved. And so
I started driving when I was 11.
yeah, see, so we were just kind of fortunate in that sense that
Could back up a trailer. I mean, you name it, we did it.
yeah, we were
Drove
kind of
the tractor.
exposed to a little bit of everything. And we had hardworking parents and working family members. We all kind of worked together to make it a wonderful place to be. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to share a little bit of like where we came from and why we're so well-rounded and almost truly very cultured in that sense, is that we had lots of different friends from lots of different backgrounds and cultures and upbringings. And so I'm really grateful for that. I know that it impacted and shaped and molded my life to become and to help me become the person and the woman that I am today. And it was literally grooming me for the lifestyle and the passion that I have for what I do because of the way I was brought up. So,
And we were self-employed, so my
Yes.
parents, if we wanted to pick up and go to Disneyland, we did. My parents were great about saying, all right, kids, let's load up and let's go. And it was,
That's true.
We had great times.
that is true. And you know, too, like, I think about, you know, our parents and how hard they worked and why they did what they did to set a place for us to have that was safe and fun. And my mom used to, I mean, I just remember my mom being literally at the barn at like 1 and 2 in the morning with someone with a lesson and not stopping until she accomplished what the goal that she had set out to accomplish with that rider or that horse. And so that was something as a young child she was instilling in me that I maybe hadn't noticed, but now I find myself in those situations. And those of you who know me, I'll do whatever it takes and stay as long as it takes to get the job done, because here's the thing, it's not about me. It's about helping others and really creating a service for those who might need you, and it's about education, and it's about technique and knowledge. And so I watched my mom, you know, do whatever it took, and you know, we didn't really fit into the mold, if you will. We kind of were just wild and, you know, rough around the edges, but we loved what we were and what we did. And I look back at that now and I'm like, I'm so glad, I'm so grateful. I wouldn't change that for the world. And I guess this is a great way for me to thank my mom and dad for their diligence and their hard work and their example to me, because man, it was cool.
It was great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So anyway, you're road tripping with Extreme Wylene. This is Winda, my sister, and we hope you're having a great day, and we'll be back. Yes, we will.